Stop calling yourself lazy for a second. Seriously. What if the real problem isn't laziness at all? What if the reason you keep procrastinating, the reason you start things and never finish them, the reason you know exactly what you should be doing but still don't do it, is actually something much simpler? Physics. Stay with me, because once you understand this one idea, procrastination starts to make a lot more sense, and more importantly, it becomes a lot easier to break. Part 1. The procrastination loop. You probably know this cycle. You have big goals. You want to get in shape, start that business, write the book, fix your sleep schedule, finally get your life together. You start strong. You're motivated. You're watching productivity videos. You're drinking water like a responsible adult. And for a few days, things actually work. Then something happens. You skip one day, then two. Then suddenly procrastination shows up like that one relative who wasn't invited but somehow knows where the snacks are. Before long, the cycle begins. You avoid the work. You feel guilty about avoiding the work. Then you avoid the work even more to avoid feeling guilty. Weeks pass, months pass. Eventually, you stop saying, "I'm procrastinating," and start saying, "I guess I'm just a lazy person." But here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're stuck. Part 2. The real problem. The real reason procrastination feels so powerful comes down to one concept: inertia. In physics, inertia means this: objects at rest stay at rest. Objects in motion stay in motion, unless something forces them to change. Sound familiar? Because this applies to people just as much as it applies to physics. When you're lying on the couch scrolling your phone, your brain wants to keep lying on the couch scrolling your phone. When you're actively working on something, your brain actually wants to keep going. The hardest part is not the work. The hardest part is starting. And most people accidentally make starting way harder than it needs to be. Part 3. Why starting feels impossible. Think about the way most people talk to themselves when they need to start something. They don't say, "Let me begin." They say things like, "I need to write a 5,000-word paper. I need to clean my entire apartment. I need to completely change my life." Your brain hears that and immediately says, "Yeah, we're not doing that today," because the task feels huge, heavy, exhausting. So instead of starting, you open Instagram for just 5 minutes. And suddenly it's 2 hours later and you've learned absolutely nothing except that someone you went to high school with now owns 3 houses and a golden retriever. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is the size of the starting line. Part 4. Make starting ridiculously easy. If starting is the hardest part, then the solution is simple. Make the start smaller, way smaller. Instead of saying, "I'm going to write a full essay," say, "I'm going to write 1 sentence." Instead of, "I'm going to work out for an hour," say, "I'm going to put on my gym shoes." Instead of, "I need to clean my entire room," say, "I'm going to clean for 1 song." It sounds almost too simple, but something interesting happens. Once you begin, momentum takes over. Because remember the physics rule. Objects in motion stay in motion. Once you write 1 sentence, writing another feels easier. Once you start cleaning, you usually keep going. Once you begin working, the resistance fades. Starting is like pushing a heavy ball uphill. At first it's hard, but once it begins rolling, gravity does the rest. Part 5. The 2-minute rule. There's another trick that uses the same principle. It's called the 2-minute rule. The rule is simple. Tell yourself you only have to do the task for 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes. If after 2 minutes you still want to stop, you can stop. No guilt, no pressure, but here's the funny part. Most of the time you won't stop, because once you break inertia and get moving, your brain stops fighting you. 2 minutes turns into 10. 10 minutes turns into an hour, and suddenly the thing you were avoiding all day is halfway finished. Part 6. Momentum changes everything. This is why productive people often seem unstoppable. It's not because they have superhuman discipline. It's because they understand momentum. They focus less on finishing the entire task and more on starting the first step. Once they begin, the rest follows naturally. Meanwhile, people stuck in procrastination keep waiting for motivation to magically appear. But motivation usually shows up after you start, not before. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Part 7. The Staircase Rule. There's a famous quote from Martin Luther King Jr. "You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." Most people stare at the top of the staircase. They analyze it, overthink it, get intimidated by it, then never move. Successful people focus on the next step, just one, then the next, then the next. Eventually, they reach the top without even realizing how far they've climbed. Closing. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You're not lazy, you're just stuck in inertia. And inertia is broken by movement. Not motivation, not perfect planning, just movement. So whatever you've been putting off, start ridiculously small. Write one sentence, clean one corner, work for 2 minutes. That tiny push is all it takes to start the momentum. And once the ball starts rolling, you'll realize something surprising. The life you want was never blocked by laziness. It was only waiting for you to take the first step.